Mars transit Taurus from June 20th to August 2nd, 2026. In many ways, this Taurus transit acts as a preparation period, offering an opportunity to build stability and strengthen important areas of life before more complicated planetary influences begin to unfold. It is essential to note that these interpretations are based on sidereal or Vedic astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference with the tropical zodiac. In astrology, Mars is the planet of action, courage, initiative, determination, and ambition. Wherever Mars transits, it energizes that area of life and pushes us toward action. Mars represents physical energy, competition, confidence, leadership, property, land, engineering, machinery, and the ability to fight for what we want. At its best, Mars gives the courage to take decisive action and overcome obstacles. At its worst, it can manifest as impatience, aggression, impulsive behavior, accidents, conflicts, and unnecessary confrontations. Taurus, the second sign of the zodiac, is ruled by Venus and is associated with wealth, savings, accumulated assets, family resources, material comforts, food, possessions, and long-term security. As a fixed Earth sign, Taurus prefers stability, patience, practicality, and gradual progress. Rather than seeking rapid change, Taurus focuses on building something that lasts. Since Mars and Venus maintain a neutral relationship in Vedic astrology, Mars neither gains exceptional strength nor suffers major weakness in Taurus. The results of this transit therefore depend largely on how consciously the energy of Mars is utilized. When the planet of action moves through a sign connected with wealth and stability, financial matters naturally become a major area of focus. Many people may feel a stronger desire to earn more, increase savings, improve their financial position, or secure valuable assets. Plans that have remained on hold may finally begin moving forward. Property matters, real estate decisions, investments, and long-term financial planning can receive fresh momentum. There is often a stronger drive to build something tangible during this period, whether that means growing a business, improving financial security, purchasing assets, or creating a more stable foundation for the future. Mars is still a naturally malefic planet, and its influence can sometimes create challenges around the very areas Taurus seeks to protect. Financial disagreements, arguments regarding property, conflicts over shared resources, and impulsive spending decisions may become more common. People may become more possessive, stubborn, or defensive regarding money and material possessions. In some cases, the desire for security can turn into excessive attachment, making individuals react emotionally when their resources or comfort zones feel threatened. Practicing patience and avoiding impulsive financial decisions will be particularly important throughout this transit. Mars will also cast its special aspects on 3 signs during this transit. Its fourth aspect falls on Leo, where Ketu is currently transiting. This combination can create a fiery and impulsive atmosphere, particularly in matters involving authority, leadership, ego, pride, and decision-making. People should be cautious about acting purely out of emotion or reacting impulsively to situations, as Mars and Ketu together often encourage actions taken without sufficient consideration of consequences. Mars' 7th aspect falls on Scorpio, its own sign. This strengthens and energizes Scorpio-related matters, bringing greater intensity, determination, and urgency to the areas of life represented by Scorpio in individual charts. The 8th aspect falls on Sagittarius, where sudden developments, unexpected changes, travel-related matters, educational pursuits, beliefs, or long-term plans may require greater attention and adaptability. The overall message of Mars and Taurus is straightforward. This is a transit that favors building, strengthening, securing, and preparing. It is an excellent period to focus on financial planning, savings, property matters, skill development, and creating greater stability in life. The energy of Mars provides the motivation to take action, while Taurus offers the patience and practicality needed to produce lasting results. The more effort invested in building solid foundations during this transit period, the better prepared individuals will be for the more demanding transits that follow later in the year. Rather than rushing toward unnecessary risks, this period rewards steady progress, disciplined action, and practical decision-making. Mars in Taurus reminds us that lasting success is often built not through speed, but through persistence, consistency, and a clear focus on long-term security. It's crucial to perceive Mars as the planet of action. Wherever it transits in the chart or during transit, it ignites activity in matters associated with that specific house. If Mars is well positioned in the chart and during transit, it also takes on the role of a defender or protector, safeguarding the affairs related to the house it influences. To accurately assess the impact of these transits, it is crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign offers insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you will emotionally respond to these changes. Take into account the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current dasha period. This transit may manifest differently for each individual, and how they navigate this transit will depend on their personal charts. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Mars's Ashtakavarga score in Taurus. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit are contingent on Mars's interaction with the planets in individual birth charts. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Mars Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, Mars is transiting through the second house during this period. The second house rules your accumulated wealth, your savings, your family unit, your speech, and your relationship with money in general. This is also technically a Maraka house, which simply means it is a sensitive house that requires careful handling. Mars is the lord of your chart, so whenever it moves through any house, there is a personal stake involved. Mars is your energy, your willpower, and your identity in action. When that energy enters the second house of wealth and family, the first and most obvious result is that financial matters become a primary focus. You will feel a strong inner push to earn more, secure more, and protect what you have already built. This is not a passive financial period. Mars does not let you sit and wait. It will push you to go out and do something about your financial situation. Practically speaking, this could look like you going after a salary negotiation, taking on additional work, starting a side income, or making active decisions about savings and investments. People who have been procrastinating on financial matters will find this transit gives them the momentum to finally act. That push to secure your financial position is genuine and real during this transit period, so use it well. Now the challenge side of Mars in the second house needs equal attention. The second house rules speech, and Mars makes communication direct, sharp, and sometimes cutting. Family conversations about money or shared resources can become heated. You may say things in a blunt way without intending harm, but the impact on others may still be significant. Disputes within the family, particularly around financial matters, are something to actively manage. Speak with intention and keep financial discussions as calm and solution-focused as possible. The spending side is also a real concern. Mars in the second house, when not channeled properly, can make a person impulsive with money. The energy of wanting to acquire and spend at the same time creates a push-pull dynamic. You might feel like the hard work justifies the splurging, but the second house is also your savings, and draining it during this period is something you will regret later. Make a deliberate effort to track your expenses and put limits on impulsive purchases. There is another important combination happening for Aries individuals during this transit. Saturn is sitting in Pisces, which is your 12th house, and Mars is now moving into your second house. This creates a Papa Kurthari Yoga, or a hemming effect, on your first house. Your first house, which represents your body, your energy levels, and your overall sense of self-confidence, is getting squeezed between two heavy planets. The result is a subtle but noticeable dip in personal confidence and physical energy during these weeks. You may feel like you are carrying more than your fair share, or that your personal vitality is slightly reduced compared to your usual levels. The remedy is simple. Do not overwork your body, get adequate sleep, and give yourself recovery time alongside all the financial effort you are putting in. Mars casts its fourth aspect directly on Leo, which is your fifth house. The fifth house covers children, creative projects, education, and speculative investments. This aspect brings active energy into your fifth house matters. If you have children, you will find yourself more involved in guiding or pushing them during this period. Be careful to guide without dominating, because the energy here can tip into being overly controlling. For students, this is a competitive and driven period for academics. If you are working on creative projects, now is the time to push them forward with real effort. Be very cautious about speculative investments or gambling. Mars over the 5th house can create overconfidence in financial risks, and that is a combination you want to avoid. Mars also casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 8th house. The 8th house is where hidden matters, sudden events, joint finances, loans, inheritance, and transformations live. Mars rules Scorpio and is therefore effectively looking at its own sign from the 2nd house. This can bring unexpected developments in matters related to shared money, a loan that needs attention, or an inheritance issue. Some Aries people may find themselves suddenly dealing with someone else's finances or a pending financial obligation. Health-wise, the 8th house involvement always raises a flag around accidents and surgeries, so drive carefully and avoid anything that involves unnecessary physical risk during this period. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 9th house. The 9th house represents your beliefs, your father, your teachers, and long-distance travel. This aspect can bring friction with authority or belief-based figures. Disagreements with your father or a mentor are possible. Travel plans may hit unexpected bumps. Rigid thinking around your philosophical or religious views might creep in. Staying open-minded and not digging in on your positions will serve you much better than turning every difference of opinion into a confrontation. Overall, for Aries, this transit period is primarily about money, family, and protecting what you value. The energy is available to build your financial security and push forward on wealth-related goals. But it needs to be matched with careful speech, disciplined spending, and enough self-care to compensate for the hemming pressure on your personal energy. The groundwork you lay now in financial and family matters will support you through the tougher planetary periods that follow this transit. Mars in Taurus is asking you to build something solid, something you can lean on. Treat this transit period as a preparation phase and use every day of this transit with that intention. For Taurus, Mars is transiting directly through your 1st house during this period. The 1st house is the most personal house in your chart. It represents your physical body, your personality, your overall energy and health, and the way you show up in the world. Mars moving through your 1st house is one of the more energetically charged transits you can experience. The very first thing you will notice is a significant increase in personal drive and restlessness. Taurus people are naturally steady, measured, and deliberate. You do not typically rush into things, and you prefer to act after careful consideration. Mars in the 1st house flips that energy substantially. You will feel a fire in you that wants to act now, move fast, and assert yourself in ways that may feel unfamiliar. This can be genuinely productive if you channel it into purposeful activity, but it can also be unsettling if you let it run without direction. The body itself becomes more active under this transit. Mars rules physical energy, muscle, and drive. If you have been meaning to start exercising, go to the gym, or begin any fitness routine, this transit period is one of the best opportunities to do so. The motivation is real and available. Physical activity is also one of the best ways to burn off the excess Mars energy that will otherwise come out as irritability or impatience in your daily life. Deliberately investing in your physical fitness during this period is one of the most productive choices you can make. On the flip side, the body also carries more risk during a 1st house Mars transit. Mars rules blood, inflammation, and accidents. There is an elevated possibility of minor injuries, cuts, burns, or physical mishaps during these weeks. This does not mean something dramatic will happen, but it means you need to be alert. Drive carefully, avoid reckless physical risks, be mindful when using sharp tools, and do not let overconfidence in your physical abilities lead to injury. Pushing too hard in the gym too quickly, especially if you are just starting out, can also cause physical strain. The personality level effect of this transit is that you will come across as more assertive, more intense, and more commanding than usual. People around you will notice a shift in how you carry yourself. Some will find this attractive and energizing. Others may find it slightly overwhelming or confrontational. Be conscious of how you are presenting yourself in different environments. What works as confidence in a professional negotiation may not work as well in a casual personal conversation. Mars in your 1st house also represents a strong desire to defend yourself, stand up for your interests, and not tolerate being taken for granted. If there are situations in your life where you have been allowing something to continue at your own expense, this transit will make it very difficult for you to stay quiet about it. Use that assertiveness wisely, because the outcomes you create during this period in your personal relationships and professional dealings will stick around long after Mars has moved on. It is also worth noting that since Taurus is fundamentally a sign of accumulated wealth and material security, Having Mars transit your own sign creates a direct personal drive to improve your financial standing during this period. You may find yourself more motivated than usual to negotiate better pay, pursue new income opportunities, or take a concrete step toward a financial goal you have been delaying. This motivation is Mars amplifying the core Taurus themes of wealth and security. Act on it. The combination of heightened personal assertiveness and the Taurus sign energy pointing directly at material progress makes this an excellent window for anything that concretely improves your financial position or long-term security. Mars casts its fourth aspect on Leo, which is your fourth house. The fourth house rules your home, your mother, your property, and your emotional sense of security. Mars aspecting the fourth house from the first can create a charged environment at home. During these weeks, there may be repair or renovation work happening at your residence. You might feel a strong urge to reorganize, fix, or improve your living space. Family members, especially those you live with, may find you more intense or harder to be around. Be patient at home and resist the urge to dominate domestic conversations. This is also a reasonable time to initiate action on property or real estate decisions if the opportunity arises, since Mars does energize fourth house matters here. Mars casts its seventh aspect on Scorpio, which is your seventh house. The seventh house governs marriage, committed relationships, and business partnerships. This aspect brings direct Mars energy into your most significant one-on-one relationships. Your partner may feel that you are more demanding, intense, or dominant during this period. Conversations about important relationship matters may happen under a charged energy. Power dynamics in the partnership may become more visible and may need conscious handling. Avoid making relationship decisions purely in the heat of the moment. For those looking to enter a partnership or formalize a business agreement, this transit provides the courage and directness to move forward, but do so thoughtfully. The eighth aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your eighth house. The eighth house deals with hidden matters, sudden events, joint finances, and transformations. The eighth aspect here can bring unexpected developments in areas like shared money, loans, or a sudden piece of information that changes your perspective on something. Be cautious with financial documents and legal paperwork. Take care around sudden or unexpected physical situations. Overall for Taurus, this transit period a period of heightened personal energy and momentum. Your drive is genuinely elevated. Put that energy into your fitness, your financial goals, your professional assertiveness, and your personal development. Be patient and measured in your closest relationships. Take care of your physical safety, and use this rare burst of Mars-powered personal momentum to set yourself up well before the more complex transits ahead. For Gemini, Mars is transiting through the 12th house during this period. The 12th house is one of the more complex houses in Vedic astrology. It deals with expenses and financial drains, foreign lands and journeys, spirituality and isolation, hidden enemies, hospitals, and the subconscious mind. Mars transiting through the 12th is not a flashy or externally eventful placement, but it is one that rewards inner work and disciplined financial management. The most immediate and practical warning for Gemini people during this transit period is around expenses. Mars in the 12th house has a well-documented tendency to increase spending in ways that can feel almost automatic. Money may go out faster than it comes in during this period. Some of this spending may be genuinely necessary, perhaps for travel, accommodation away from home, health-related needs, or setting up something in a foreign or distant context. But some of it will also be impulsive, and that is what needs to be managed. Creating a clear budget at the start of this transit and actively tracking where your money is going is one of the most important practical steps you can take. Foreign travel or time spent away from your home base is another strong theme. Mars in the 12th house frequently coincides with periods of travel, relocation, or extended time away from familiar surroundings. If opportunities for foreign or long-distance travel come up during these weeks, there is genuine momentum behind them. Because the 12th house also represents potential loss in foreign places, make sure your travel is well planned, your finances are prepared, and you are not making impulsive decisions about going abroad without adequate preparation. The 12th house also governs sleep, rest, and recovery, and Mars here creates a specific type of challenge in that department. You may find it harder to wind down at the end of the day. There can be a restlessness that follows you into the evening and disrupts quality rest. This is worth actively managing through things like a consistent sleep schedule, reducing screen time before bed, or practicing some form of meditation or relaxation technique. Mars in the 12th drains energy through hidden channels, which can leave you feeling more tired than your schedule would otherwise explain. There is also a theme of hidden opposition that Gemini individuals should stay aware of during this transit. The 12th house in Vedic astrology is associated with people who work against you without being openly visible about it. Mars moving through the 12th can sometimes bring a situation to light where someone in your professional or social environment has been quietly undermining your efforts or working against your interests. This is not something to be paranoid about, but it is something to stay alert to. Be discreet about sharing sensitive plans or new projects with people whose motivations you are not completely sure of. Protect your work and your ideas during this period. On a deeper level, this transit is actually a genuine invitation to invest in your spiritual and inner life. Mars in the 12th gives you energy and drive that is directed inward rather than outward. The people who use this transit most effectively are those who channel that inward energy into meditation, self-reflection, behind-the-scenes creative work, or activities that require solitude and focus. Research, writing, spiritual practices, yoga, and retreat-style activities are all activities that Mars in the 12th supports in a meaningful way during this period. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 3rd house. Currently Ketu is transiting Leo's sign. The 3rd house rules communication, short-distance travel, siblings, and your immediate social environment. Mars aspecting the 3rd house brings active and assertive energy into these areas. You may communicate more boldly and directly during this period, which can be very effective in professional settings. Short trips and local movement increase. If there are any unresolved situations with a sibling or a close neighbor, they may come up for discussion. The 3rd house Mars aspect also adds a layer of courage, which can help you take initiative in areas where you have been hesitant. However, you need to be cautious when it comes to arguments with younger siblings and neighbors. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 6th house. The 6th house represents daily work, health, debts, enemies, and obstacles. Mars aspecting the 6th house is generally favorable because the 6th house is about tackling challenges, and Mars provides the fighting strength to do exactly that. You will have the drive to deal with health matters proactively, overcome workplace obstacles, and handle competition or difficult colleagues effectively. Take advantage of this fighting energy in your work life, but avoid overworking your body given the already draining nature of the 12th house Mars placement. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 7th house. The 7th house governs marriage, partnerships, and significant one-on-one relationships. The 8th aspect here can create some instability or unease in partnerships during this period. Your partner or close associate may feel your emotional distance or internal preoccupation. Because your energy is directed largely inward through the 12th house placement, maintaining open communication in your closest relationships requires deliberate effort. Make sure your significant relationships are not quietly suffering from neglect during this transit. Overall for Gemini, this is a transit that asks for discipline in spending, investment in inner growth, and awareness of the hidden dimensions of your life. Use the isolation energy productively. Take care of your financial boundaries. Keep your relationships nourished even when your attention is turned inward. The behind-the-scenes work you do during this transit period will build foundations that become visible and useful in the periods that follow. For Cancer, Mars is transiting through the 11th house during this period. The 11th house is the house of gains, income, highest aspirations, your social network, friends, elder siblings, and the fulfillment of desires. For Cancer, Mars also rules the 5th house through Scorpio and the 10th house through Aries, making this transit deeply connected to both creativity and career. The dominant theme for Cancer individuals during this transit period is ambition and the active pursuit of financial and social goals. Mars in the 11th house is one of the more energetically productive placements for gains and achievement. You will feel a strong and almost restless desire to pursue your biggest goals, increase your income, expand your network, and make real progress on the things you have been working toward. This is not the time to sit back and wait for opportunities to come to you. Mars in the 11th house rewards those who go out and actively pursue what they want. Financially, this is one of the better transit periods for actual income and gains. Opportunities to earn more, close deals, land new clients, or advance toward a financial milestone are genuinely accessible if you act on them. For people who are in business or in any kind of sales or client-facing role, this period carries excellent potential for revenue growth. Put in the effort and the results can be tangible. One of the key warnings for this transit is that the money which comes in during a Mars 11th house period also tends to go out quickly. The income and the spending can match pace in a way that leaves you no better off than before if you are not deliberate about saving. So while the earning potential is real, make sure you are holding on to what comes in. Your social life and professional network will also be very active during this transit. You may find yourself attending more events, connecting with influential people, or being more involved in group activities, communities, or professional associations. These connections can lead to meaningful opportunities if you engage with them purposefully. Mars here gives you the confidence and energy to put yourself forward in social and professional settings in a way that gets noticed. The competitive or assertive side of this transit can show up in your interactions within groups or communities. There is a tendency to want to lead, to have your way, or to push your agenda within your social or professional circles. Be mindful of not being too forceful in group dynamics, because it can create friction with people whose support you actually need. Channel the competitive energy into your personal pursuit of goals rather than into ego-driven contests within your network. From a practical standpoint, Cancer individuals should be making the most of every professional interaction during this transit. Mars in the 11th house is not just about big wins. It is also about the consistent smaller efforts that accumulate over time, the follow-up messages you send, the connections you actively nurture, and the conversations you initiate that open unexpected doors. This is a period where your professional network can genuinely expand if you show up and engage deliberately. Do not wait for opportunities to arrive. Go out and create them. There is also a physical health dimension worth noting. The energy of Mars in the 11th can push you to overextend yourself in the relentless pursuit of gains and goals. Keep your physical energy sustainable. Ambition without health management leads to burnout, and burning yourself out during this transit defeats the purpose entirely. Rest when your body asks for it. The momentum you build through consistent, sustainable effort over this transit period will outlast any short burst of overworked intensity. Mars casts its fourth aspect on Leo, which is your second house. The second house covers accumulated wealth, savings, family finances, and speech. Mars aspecting the second house directly from the 11th creates a very strong focus on money management. On the positive side, you are actively thinking about building your wealth and securing your assets. On the challenging side, speech and family settings around money can become sharp or create conflict. Be measured in how you talk about finances with family members. Keep financial conversations focused on solutions rather than letting emotions drive them. Mars casts its seventh aspect on Scorpio, which is your fifth house. The fifth house rules children, creative work, education, and speculative activity. Mars aspecting the fifth house from the 11th brings competitive and driven energy into these areas. For parents, there is increased involvement and possibly some pressure around children's education or activities. Students will feel a surge of competitive motivation. Creative professionals may experience a productive burst of effort. The caution here is around speculative investments, because the combination of Mars aspecting the fifth house and the gains focus of the 11th can create overconfidence in risky financial plays. Keep your investment decisions measured and avoid chasing speculative gains during this period. The eighth aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your sixth house. The sixth house represents daily work, health, and obstacles. The eighth aspect here can bring a sudden or unexpected development in your work routine or a health matter that requires attention. Stay on top of your physical health, take care of any recurring issues proactively, and be adaptable if your work environment throws something unexpected at you during this transit. For Cancer, this transit period is one of the more genuinely productive transit windows you will experience in the near future. The energy for gains, achievement, and network building is real. Act on it boldly but sensibly. Save what you earn, watch your speech around money, protect your investments from impulsiveness, and use this window to build real momentum before the planetary picture becomes more complex in the months ahead. For Leo, Mars is transiting through the 10th house during this period. The 10th house is one of the most powerful and visible houses in the entire chart. It governs your career, your professional reputation, your public image, your social authority, and your relationship with power structures and institutions. For Leo, Mars rules the 4th house through Scorpio and the 9th house through Aries, which connects home matters and higher fortune to the career themes of this transit. The defining theme for Leo individuals during this transit period is career momentum and professional assertion. Mars in the 10th house is one of the classic indicators of intense professional activity, and when Mars reaches the 10th, people who act on it can genuinely move the needle on their career trajectory. New opportunities for advancement, increased visibility in your field, the courage to step forward for a promotion or a new role, and the drive to make your professional mark are all available during this transit. If you have been hesitating on a career move or waiting for the right time to push yourself into greater professional prominence, this transit period is one of the best times to act. For business owners and entrepreneurs, this is a period of heightened ambition and capacity to grow your enterprise. Your drive to lead, build, and achieve professionally is at a peak. Clients, collaborators, and professional contacts will notice your increased energy and determination. If there are negotiations, pitches, or competitive situations in your professional life, you will have the strength and confidence to take them on and pursue them aggressively. The risk that comes with Mars in the 10th house is the very real potential for clashes with authority. Bosses, superiors, and institutional power structures may feel the force of your assertiveness. There is a fine line between being confidently ambitious and being perceived as difficult, aggressive, or hard to manage. Navigate this carefully. The goal is to be seen as a driven, results-oriented professional rather than someone who creates conflict within the hierarchy. Pick your battles wisely, and when you push back, do it in ways that are strategic and professional rather than reactive. Your public reputation is also a live consideration during this transit. Mars in the 10th can put you in the spotlight in very productive ways, but it can also make any misstep more visible than it would otherwise be. How you conduct yourself professionally during this transit period matters in ways that extend beyond the transit itself. Act with integrity and be conscious of the example you are setting. For those in leadership positions, this transit has specific implications worth addressing directly. Mars in the 10th house is one of the strongest indicators of professional authority available, but authority under this transit needs to be exercised with self-awareness and discipline. The leaders who get the best results from this transit are those who channel their drive into clearing obstacles for their team, making decisive calls, and creating a results-focused environment rather than asserting themselves through control or micromanagement. Your team will feel your elevated energy very acutely during this period. When that energy is directed toward collective achievement, it can genuinely lift performance. When it comes across as overly demanding or critical, it creates friction that costs more than it gains. A practical piece of guidance for all Leo individuals is to focus on the timing and preparation behind your career moves during this transit. Mars gives you the energy and courage to push forward, but the best results come from bold action that is backed by solid preparation. If you are going after a promotion, prepare your case thoroughly before presenting it. If you are approaching a new client or proposing a new initiative, do the research first. Mars in the 10th rewards decisive, well-prepared action far more than it rewards impulsive leaps taken without a foundation beneath them. Mars casts its fourth aspect on Leo, which is your first house. This is a direct and personal energization of your first house from your career house. Mars is looking at your own identity and personality from the 10th house of achievement. The result is a highly charged personal energy that comes across as commanding, confident, and assertive. You will carry yourself with greater authority during this period. The caution is that this same energy can come across as intense or domineering in personal interactions outside of professional settings. Be warm and approachable when the situation calls for it. Mars casts its seventh aspect on Scorpio, which is your fourth house. The fourth house rules your home, your mother, and your property. Mars aspecting the fourth from the 10th creates the classic tension between career demands and home responsibilities. Both are calling for your attention simultaneously during this period. There may be some tension at home, particularly around property matters or a situation involving your mother. Do not let the career momentum completely override your responsibilities at home. Creating a conscious balance between professional ambition and domestic attention is one of the key management tasks of this transit. The eighth aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your fifth house. The fifth house covers creativity, children, education, and speculative thinking. Mars' eighth aspect on the fifth can bring unexpected developments in these areas. There may be a sudden shift in a creative project, an unexpected situation involving a child's welfare, or a surprise that requires quick thinking. If you work in a field that demands strategic creativity or intellectual problem solving, this energy can actually push you toward breakthrough thinking if you stay flexible. For Leo, this is one of the most career-active transits of the coming year. Use this transit period to pursue visible professional goals with full energy. Manage your relationships with authority carefully, Keep the home life attended to on the side, and approach any creative or educational surprises with adaptability. This is a window for real professional advancement. For Virgo, Mars is transiting through the 9th house during this period. The 9th house is the house of higher purpose, dharma, long-distance travel, your father or guru figures, higher education, spiritual beliefs, and the broader philosophical framework through which you live your life. For Virgo, Mars rules the 3rd house through Scorpio and the 8th house through Aries, which brings an element of courage, communication, and transformation into these 9th house themes. The central energy of this transit for Virgo people is conviction and driven pursuit of higher goals. Mars in the 9th house gives you a strong sense of purpose and mission. You feel compelled to take action based on your values and beliefs. Whether this expresses itself as committing to a serious course of study, actively pursuing spiritual practice, preparing for long-distance travel, or standing firmly for your principles in a difficult situation, the energy here is that of someone who is ready to act according to what they believe in. That is a genuinely powerful quality, and during this transit period, it is available to you in full. Long-distance travel is one of the most practically activated themes of this transit. If you have been considering or planning international travel, a journey to a distant location, or a trip connected to education or personal growth, this transit gives strong momentum to those plans. Mars in the 9th creates both the desire and the willingness to actually go somewhere. Whether the travel is for business, higher education, spiritual purposes, or personal expansion, the energy supports it. Plan well and go with intention. Higher education is another active theme. If you are currently pursuing advanced degrees, professional certifications, or any form of higher learning, this transit energizes your commitment to those pursuits. You will study with more intensity, argue your ideas with more confidence, and push through the academic or intellectual challenges with greater determination than usual. For those who teach, coach, or mentor others, you may step into your teaching role with greater assertiveness and conviction during this period. The challenge of Mars in the 9th house is dogmatism. When your beliefs and your drive combine under Mars, there is a tendency to become rigid about what you believe is right. You may find yourself holding very strong positions on philosophical, ethical, or religious matters and becoming less tolerant of people who see things differently. This can create friction with teachers, mentors, your father, or any authority figure whose views differ from yours. Have the courage to stand by your convictions, but stay genuinely open to dialogue. Confusing stubbornness with righteousness is a real risk under this placement. On a very practical level, Mars in the 9th house is one of the best indicators for taking concrete action toward a higher qualification, formal education, or professional certification. If you have been considering enrolling in a program, applying to a course, or committing to advanced study, the motivation and determination to initiate that process is genuinely available right now. Do not stop at research. Take the actual first step during this transit period, whether that means submitting an application, paying a registration fee, contacting an institution, or committing to a start date. Mars in the 9th rewards those who move from thinking about higher learning to actively engaging with it. The 9th house also governs the relationship between your daily actions and your broader sense of direction and fortune in life. When Mars transits the 9th, there is a notable boost in personal confidence about where you are headed. You feel that your actions are moving you towards something meaningful, and that sense of purpose motivates stronger effort. The key is to ensure those actions are genuinely aligned with your own convictions and values rather than with external pressure or what others expect of you. When actions during this transit are authentically driven by what you truly believe in, the results tend to be more rewarding and more lasting. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 12th house. The 12th house represents expenses, foreign journeys, spiritual retreat, and behind-the-scenes activity. The connection between the 9th and 12th house through Mars aspect is interesting and reinforces the travel and spiritual themes of this transit. Be mindful of your spending in connection with travel or spiritual activities. The desire to invest in these things is real and healthy, but Mars energy here can push you to go financially overboard. Set a reasonable budget for travel and higher learning expenses and stick to it. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 3rd house. The 3rd house governs communication, short trips, siblings, and your personal courage. This aspect adds an extra layer of assertive and direct communication to your everyday interactions. You will speak up, share your views confidently, and not hold back your opinions during this period. This is highly effective in professional environments where clarity and directness are valued. In personal interactions with siblings or close acquaintances, be mindful of the line between honest communication and aggressive communication. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 4th house. The 4th house rules home, property, and your mother. The 8th aspect here can bring a surprising or slightly tense development at home during this transit. There may be repair work or maintenance needed at your residence, or a sudden situation involving your mother or your property that requires your attention. Do not let the higher purpose focus of the 9th house pull your attention so completely that you neglect practical domestic matters when they arise. For Virgo, this transit is rich with the energy of purpose, travel, and higher learning. Act on the opportunities for education and meaningful journeys. Stand by your convictions with courage but without inflexibility. Manage your spending in connection with these pursuits. Take care of home matters when they surface. And use this transit period to deepen your sense of direction before the more challenging planetary periods ahead. For Libra, Mars is transiting through the 8th house during this period. The 8th house is one of the most complex and intense houses in Vedic astrology. It covers transformation, hidden or buried matters, sudden events and changes, research and investigation, occult knowledge, joint finances, inheritance, insurance, debts, and it also has a direct connection to accidents, surgeries, and longevity. For Libra, Mars rules the 2nd house through Scorpio and the 7th house through Aries, making it a Maraca planet transiting a deeply sensitive house. This transit demands genuine awareness and careful living. The single most practical and important message during this transit period is to prioritize physical safety. Mars in the 8th house elevates the risk associated with accidents, injuries, cuts, burns, inflammation, and sudden physical incidents. This does not mean something will necessarily happen, but it means your risk level is higher than average during this window. Drive carefully and defensively. Avoid risky physical activities. Be alert in situations that require quick reactions. If any health matter has been building or lingering, address it proactively now rather than ignoring it. This is the transit where small oversights in physical safety can have larger consequences. Beyond physical safety, Mars in the 8th house brings an intense drive to investigate, dig deep, and uncover what has been hidden. You will find yourself wanting to get to the bottom of things. Whether this is in the context of research, financial investigations, understanding the true nature of a situation in your personal or professional life, or even exploring metaphysical and occult subjects, the energy for depth and discovery is strong during this period. People who work in research, investigation, finance, medicine, or anything related to uncovering hidden information will find this transit extremely productive for their work. Joint finances and shared money are a major practical theme. If there are matters related to a business partner's funds, a shared loan or mortgage, inheritance proceedings, insurance claims, or any financial matters tied to another person, they are likely to come forward for active handling during this period. Mars gives you the drive and courage to deal with these often complicated matters. Do not avoid them. Engage with the paperwork, the legal requirements, and the financial details because Mars in the 8th is pushing you to resolve what has been sitting unresolved. The psychological dimension of this transit is also worth noting. Mars in the 8th house makes you more intense, more probing, and sometimes more suspicious in your daily interactions. You may find yourself reading between the lines more than usual, looking for hidden motives in people's behavior, or feeling a general sense of vigilance about what is happening beneath the surface around you. While your instincts may well be sharper during this period, try not to let suspicion become the lens through which you view everyone around you. Not every situation has a hidden layer. There is a genuinely transformative dimension to this transit that is worth approaching with an open mindset rather than resistance. The 8th house in Vedic astrology represents situations that force deep reorganization in the areas they activate. Mars in the 8th is essentially pressing you to deal with things you have been setting aside, to confront hidden dynamics in your life, and to make the kinds of changes you know are necessary but have been uncomfortable to initiate. The people who navigate this transit most effectively are those who go into it with a mindset of courageous engagement rather than reluctant avoidance. If there are areas of your life that clearly need a serious overhaul, whether in your financial arrangements, a relationship dynamic, a health habit, or a career direction, this transit period provides both the energy and the courage to begin those transformations. Mars in the 8th is difficult energy to sit with, but it is also one of the most powerful windows for genuine and lasting change when used with intention. Think of this transit as a forced but ultimately productive clearing of whatever in your life has been accumulating without being addressed. Mars casts its fourth aspect on Leo, which is your 11th house. The 11th house governs gains, income, social networks, and aspirations. Mars aspecting the 11th from the 8th is a combination that can bring sudden or unexpected developments in your income or your social circle. Money may come through an unexpected channel, or conversely, a source of income you were counting on may shift without warning. Be prepared for either direction. Networking during this period may also feel more intense or competitive. Your social interactions carry a charged energy that requires some conscious handling. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 2nd house. The 2nd house rules accumulated wealth, savings, family, and speech. This direct aspect on your 2nd house from the 8th is one of the most financially sensitive combinations of this transit. Watch your finances closely during this period. Impulsive spending, financial drain, and instability in your savings are elevated risks. Family conversations around money can become heated or result in conflict. Speak carefully in financial discussions with family members. On the earning side, there is also strong motivation to work for wealth and protect your financial position, which is the constructive use of this aspect. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 3rd house. The 3rd house covers communication, short trips, and siblings. The 8th aspect here can bring an unexpected development in a sibling relationship, or a sudden piece of communication that requires your attention. Short-distance travel may carry minor risks during this period, so stay alert even on local journeys. For Libra, this transit is one that rewards courage, thoroughness, and proactive handling of difficult or hidden matters. Physical safety comes first. Financial and legal matters connected to joint or shared resources need active engagement. Use the investigative energy of Mars here productively. Manage your spending, protect your health, and approach the transformations this transit brings with courage and awareness. For Scorpio, Mars is transiting through the 7th house during this period. The 7th house governs marriage, committed romantic partnerships, business partnerships, and all significant one-on-one associations. Mars is your sign ruler, so whenever it transits through any house, the results carry a personal and often direct impact. Moving through the 7th house, a Maraca house, makes this a transit that deserves conscious handling. The defining theme of this transit for Scorpio individuals is intensity and action in your most important relationships. Whether you are married, in a committed relationship, or deeply involved in a business partnership, Mars in the 7th house will make things very active, sometimes charged, and occasionally confrontational. Mars does not bring stillness into the 7th house. It brings momentum, drive, and a kind of forceful energy that seeks to assert itself in the partnership dynamic. For those in marriages or committed relationships, this period can go in two very clear directions depending on how consciously you manage the energy. If you and your partner are communicating well and there is a foundation of trust and mutual respect, this transit can actually help you address things that have been sitting unresolved. Important conversations happen. Decisions get made. The relationship moves forward in a concrete way. On the other hand, if there are already underlying tensions or patterns of control and conflict, this Mars energy will amplify them considerably. The desire to dominate, to have the final word, or to impose your will in the partnership is strong under this transit. Acting on that desire without awareness is very likely to create serious friction. Be especially mindful of not letting your need to assert your position in the relationship tip into controlling behavior. Mars in the 7th house is one of the placements that most directly tests whether a person can be assertive without being aggressive in their relationships. That balance requires daily conscious effort during this transit period. One of the most practical communication strategies for Scorpio individuals during this transit is to create a deliberate pause between the moment you feel the heat of Mars energy rising and the moment you actually respond in an important relationship conversation. When a discussion becomes charged or emotionally loaded, give yourself time and space before you react. The impulse under Mars in the 7th is to respond immediately and with full force, and that impulse is going to be strong during these weeks. Resisting it is not weakness. It is actually the most effective relationship strategy available to you, and it protects your most important partnerships from damage caused by reactive words or actions that cannot easily be undone. For Scorpio individuals who are currently single and open to entering a new relationship or business partnership, this transit does bring an intensity and directness that others can find genuinely compelling. Your confidence and focus are elevated, and people notice that. Be thoughtful about the energy you bring into early interactions with potential partners. The first impression created under a strong Mars transit often sets the tone for how a connection develops from that point forward. Leading with your drive and directness is fine and attractive, but let your genuine depth and warmth as a Scorpio person also come through from the beginning, rather than leading with sheer intensity alone. For those in business partnerships, this transit brings important partnership dynamics to the surface. There may be disagreements about the direction of the business, the division of responsibilities, or financial arrangements. Use this energy to have direct, honest conversations about partnership terms and shared goals. Having clarity in your business relationship is much more valuable than avoiding the discomfort of these conversations. New business partnerships can also be initiated during this period, and Mars here provides the confidence to approach potential business partners with directness and clarity. Mars casts its fourth aspect on Leo, which is your 10th house. The 10th house rules career, professional reputation, and public standing. Mars aspecting the 10th house from the 7th creates a very strong connection between your professional life and your partnership activity. Career matters are highly active during this period. You may be entering into professional agreements, representing yourself in important business dealings, or pushing for greater authority and recognition in your professional sphere. The energy to advance in your career is genuinely strong. If there are professional opportunities requiring bold action or confident presentation, this is the window to go for them. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 1st house. This means Mars is directly aspecting your 1st house from the 7th house. This creates an intensely personal and driven energy in your overall personality during this transit. You will feel highly motivated, possibly combative, and extremely determined in your day-to-day approach to life. Your personal presence will be strong and somewhat forceful. Channel this personal energy into focused work, physical exercise, or competitive professional activity, and do not let it spill into unnecessary conflicts with people around you. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 2nd house. The 2nd house represents wealth, family, savings, and speech. The 8th aspect here can bring unexpected financial pressures or impulsive spending tendencies during this period. Family financial conversations may carry more tension than usual. Watch your expenses carefully and avoid making impulsive financial decisions. Be particularly mindful of how you speak in emotionally charged situations, because the combination of Mars in the 7th and 2nd house involvement can make words cut more sharply than intended in relationship and family contexts. For Scorpio, this transit is high activity across relationships, career, and personal drive. The key is to channel the intensity into productive action rather than reactive confrontation. Have important conversations with your partner and business associates, but from a place of intention rather than heated emotion. Push hard in your career. Protect your finances. Act boldly but consciously, and the outcomes of this transit period can be genuinely significant. For Sagittarius, Mars is transiting through the 6th house during this period. The 6th house governs daily work, service, health and illness, debts, enemies and opposition, legal matters, competition, and the obstacles you face in daily life. For Sagittarius, Mars rules the 5th house through Aries and the 12th house through Scorpio. This gives the Mars transit through the 6th house a specific flavor involving both creative drive and the need to manage expenses wisely. The most immediately relevant and constructive expression of Mars in the 6th house is the ability to overcome obstacles and defeat opposition. The 6th house is fundamentally about facing challenges and coming out on top, and Mars is the natural warrior. When Mars moves through your 6th house, it gives you exceptional fighting capacity, resilience, and the drive to handle difficult situations head-on. If you have been dealing with a difficult colleague, an ongoing legal matter, a competitive professional situation, a debt issue, or any form of opposition in your daily life, this transit is genuinely favorable for taking aggressive action to resolve those matters. In the workplace, you will be more driven, more decisive, and more willing to take on the demanding situations that others might avoid. The energy is available to handle difficult people, tough assignments, and challenging circumstances with clarity and determination. Colleagues and supervisors will notice your increased capacity to get things done during this period. If there is a competitive situation at work, whether it is a competition for a position, a project win, or professional recognition, your ability to compete and fight for it is strong during this transit period. Health is a nuanced theme during a 6th house Mars transit. On one hand, Mars gives you the physical energy and fighting spirit to address health challenges actively. If you have a health issue that has been dragging on, this is a period where you may finally pursue it with determination, whether that means finding the right doctor, committing to a treatment plan, or making lifestyle changes you have been putting off. On the other hand, Mars in the 6th can also trigger health issues, particularly those involving fever, inflammation, blood pressure, digestive problems, or muscular strain. Do not ignore physical signals during this transit. If your body is telling you something, listen to it early rather than pushing through to a bigger problem. Debts and financial liabilities are also a live theme under this transit. Mars gives you the drive to address financial obligations that have been sitting too long. If you have been avoiding a debt repayment, a financial obligation to someone, or a legal financial matter, this is the transit to face it squarely and work toward resolution. The energy for tackling these unpleasant but necessary matters is available. From a daily routine perspective, Sagittarius individuals should pay close attention to the consistency and quality of their work habits during this transit. Mars in the 6th house rewards methodical, sustained daily effort far more than it rewards sporadic bursts of intense activity. The 6th house is fundamentally about the routines, the systems, and the steady daily work that creates lasting results over time. Mars here gives you the stamina to show up and put in consistent effort even when the work is difficult or unglamorous. Establishing a focused work routine at the start of this transit and maintaining it across all period will produce significantly better outcomes than working in short, intense bursts followed by periods of recovery. For those in service-oriented professions, whether in healthcare, teaching, administration, or any role that involves directly serving clients or people in need, Mars in the 6th house gives a genuine boost to your capacity to serve at a higher level. You will have more energy for demanding situations, more determination to push through difficult cases, and a stronger sense of personal satisfaction from delivering quality work. This is also an excellent period to seek recognition or advancement in service-related work, because the dedication and output you bring during this transit will be visible and noticed by the people who matter in your professional environment. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 9th house. The 9th house represents higher beliefs, your father, teachers, long-distance travel, and higher learning. Mars aspecting the 9th from the 6th can create friction between your daily work commitments and your higher aspirations. There may be disagreements with a boss, teacher, or your father about beliefs or approaches. Travel plans connected to work may arise but may also face some complications. You might find yourself challenging established practices or conventional thinking in your field during this period. Do this strategically rather than impulsively. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 12th house. The 12th house represents expenses, foreign connections, and spiritual activity. Mars aspecting the 12th house from the 6th can increase spending, particularly in connection with health matters or work-related travel. Be deliberate about your expenses during this period. There may also be connections with foreign clients or international projects through your work, and these can actually be productive avenues to pursue. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 1st house. This is a direct personal impact. Mars is aspecting your own 1st house through its 8th aspect, which can bring unexpected events that affect your physical body or personal circumstances directly. Be particularly careful about your physical safety and health during this period. The 8th aspect on the 1st house reinforces caution in physical activities, driving, and anything that carries a risk of sudden physical impact. For Sagittarius, this transit is powerful for overcoming obstacles, winning in competition, and tackling the difficult matters in your daily work and health. Use the fighting energy of Mars in the 6th house to address everything that has been sitting unresolved. Stay on top of your health, manage your personal safety, watch your expenses, and handle any friction with authority figures with as much patience as Mars will allow. For Capricorn, Mars is transiting through the 5th house during this period. The 5th house covers your creativity and creative output, your children, romantic relationships before marriage, education and intellectual pursuits, speculative investments, sports, and the joys and entertainments of life. For Capricorn, Mars rules the 4th house through Aries and the 11th house through Scorpio, which connects both property and gains to the 5th house energy of this transit. The most energized theme for Capricorn individuals during this transit period is creative drive and competitive effort. Mars in the 5th house turns up the intensity around everything this house represents. In creative work, the energy is strong. If you are a writer, artist, performer, designer, or anyone whose professional output involves creative expression, this transit pushes you to work with greater intensity and determination than usual. Projects that have been sitting at 80% completion get pushed to the finish line. New creative ideas get pursued with real commitment. The drive to express yourself and produce meaningful creative work is genuinely strong during this period. For students and anyone involved in competitive examinations or academic pursuits, this is a highly motivated period. The desire to excel is strong, and you will bring a level of competitive focus to your studies that may surprise even yourself. The key is to channel this into consistent, disciplined effort rather than scattered intensity that burns hot and then fades. Use the Mars energy to build and maintain momentum across this transit period. An important practical angle for Capricorn individuals during this transit is the connection between creative output and professional visibility. Mars in the 5th does not just energize personal creative activities in private. It also gives you the confidence and drive to present your creative work or intellectual ideas more publicly and to take the kinds of professional risks that put your skills in front of a wider audience. If you have been holding back on sharing your work, your expertise, or your creative output with a broader audience, this is the transit that gives you the genuine push to step forward with it. Use that momentum. For those working in education, training, or coaching, Mars in the 5th is an excellent placement for raising the energy and impact of your teaching during this period. You will bring more passion and drive to your work with students or clients, and that elevated engagement will be felt by the people you are working with. In terms of sports and physical competition, Capricorn individuals may also feel a strong pull toward competitive physical pursuits during this transit period. Channeling the Mars energy into sports, physical training, or any activity involving stamina and healthy competition is one of the most constructive uses of this transit, and it also helps burn off the excess intensity that Mars in the 5th can generate in daily life. The children theme of the 5th house becomes very active under this transit. If you are a parent, you will feel a strong push to be actively involved in your children's lives during this period. This can manifest in genuinely positive ways, such as supporting their education, taking them to activities, or making important decisions related to their well-being. The caution is around the tendency to become too controlling or demanding toward children during this transit. Mars in the 5th can make parents push their children harder than is actually helpful. Guide your children's development with enthusiasm but also with sensitivity to their own pace and needs. For unmarried individuals with an active romantic life, Mars in the 5th house can bring increased energy and pursuit into romantic interests. You may feel more willing to put yourself forward, express your interest directly, and pursue someone you care about. This is healthy and productive. Just be aware of the tendency to be possessive or impatient in romantic dynamics, as both are expressions of Mars energy that do not serve relationships well. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 8th house. The 8th house covers transformation, sudden events, hidden matters, and joint finances. Mars aspecting the 8th from the 5th can bring some unexpected developments in these areas. A sudden fluctuation in shared finances, an unexpected piece of information coming to light, or a transformative experience connected to your inner life are all possibilities. Take care of your physical safety, particularly in the context of sports, vigorous physical activities, or competitive pursuits during this transit. The 8th house involvement from the 5th house raises the risk level for sports-related injuries. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 11th house. The 11th house represents income, gains, your social network, and your biggest aspirations. Mars aspecting the 11th house from the 5th is a genuinely productive combination for financial gains, particularly those flowing from creative work, educational achievement, or the efforts you have been investing in your goals over time. Income from creative fields, intellectual work, or even gains connected to your children's activities may come through during this period. The caution here is the same as always with Mars and the 5th house together, which is to avoid speculative investments. The combination can create overconfidence about financial risk, and that overconfidence can lead to losses that offset the gains. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 12th house. The 12th house represents expenses and financial outflow. Mars' 8th aspect on the 12th house reinforces the need to manage spending carefully during this period. Despite genuine gains potential through the 11th house aspect, the 12th house pressure can drain resources through unexpected expenses if you are not paying attention. Keep a close eye on where money is going out. For Capricorn, this transit is genuinely rich with creative, competitive, and goal-oriented energy. Invested in your creative work, your education, your children, and your highest aspirations. Be disciplined about financial risks and control your spending. Manage the intensity around children and relationships with awareness. Use this productive window fully before the planetary landscape shifts. For Aquarius, Mars is transiting through the 4th house during this period. The 4th house is one of the most personal and foundational houses in the chart. It governs your home and the physical space you live in, your mother, your emotional security, your property and real estate, your vehicles, and your psychological sense of inner peace. Mars loses its directional strength in the 4th house, meaning this is not the most powerful or comfortable placement for Mars. The energy is real but somewhat constrained, and it tends to express itself in the domestic sphere in ways that require careful management. The primary theme for Aquarius individuals during this transit period is heightened activity, and sometimes tension in the home and domestic sphere. Mars in the 4th house means your private world is not going to be quiet during this transit. There will be something happening at home during this period, whether that is literal construction or renovation work, a change in your living situation, family decisions that need to be made, or simply a more charged emotional atmosphere within the household. The home environment will carry a restless energy that can feel both motivating and exhausting depending on how you engage with it. Property and real estate matters are one of the most productive areas to direct this Mars energy. If you have been considering buying or selling property, dealing with a landlord or tenant situation, making significant decisions about your living arrangement, or investing in real estate, this transit provides the drive and the assertiveness to move these matters forward. Mars in the 4th house energizes your capacity to take concrete action on property-related issues. If the broader circumstances in your life support it, this can be a good transit period to push on real estate decisions that have been stalling. Beyond just the purchase or sale of property, this transit also supports decisions around improving, expanding, or renovating your existing home or workspace. If you have been thinking about a home improvement project, this is the transit that provides the motivation to hire the right people, buy the materials, and actually get it done. The only caution is to plan the project carefully before initiating it, because Mars energy can push you to start things without fully thinking through the logistics, which leads to projects running over budget or timeline. Plan first, then move with the full energy of this transit behind you. Your relationship with your mother is another active theme during this period. Mars in the 4th can make you feel protective of your mother and more involved in matters relating to her health or welfare. At the same time, the Mars energy here can create more friction or intensity in your interactions with her. If there are pre-existing tensions or unresolved matters in that relationship, this is the transit where they come to the surface. Handle these situations with patience and emotional awareness, because the 4th house is a deeply personal and sometimes sensitive area. Vehicles come under the 4th house, and with Mars here, some specific precautions are warranted. Check your vehicle's maintenance condition during this period. Drive carefully and defensively. Mars in the 4th is one of the indicators that raises the risk level for vehicle-related incidents, so being more alert than usual on the road is genuinely prudent. On the inner psychological level, Mars in the 4th house creates a subtle but real inner restlessness. You may find it harder than usual to feel truly at ease, to relax fully, or to experience a sense of settled peace in your personal space. There is a kind of internal motor running during this transit that makes true stillness difficult. This is one of the reasons it is important to find constructive external outlets for the energy rather than letting it churn internally and come out as irritability toward family members. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 7th house. The 7th house rules marriage, committed partnerships, and business relationships. Mars aspecting the 7th from the 4th brings direct energy into your significant partnerships during this period. You or your partner may feel the urge to address things that have been unresolved between you. Discussions about the home, domestic decisions, property matters, or family life may become the source of disagreement within the partnership. If you and your partner are aligned, this can be a productive time to make joint decisions about your shared domestic life. If there are already tensions in the relationship, be careful about how the home-related energy of Mars gets expressed in partnership conversations. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 10th house. The 10th house governs career and professional standing. Mars aspecting the 10th from the 4th creates a situation where both home demands and career demands are pulling for your attention at the same time. Your career may see increased competitive energy, new professional challenges, or a push toward greater ambition. Managing both the domestic energy of the 4th house and the career energy of the 10th house simultaneously is the main juggling act of this transit. Do not fully neglect either domain. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 11th house. The 11th house covers gains, income, and social networks. The 8th aspect here can bring some unexpected developments in your income sources or social connections during this period. A sudden change in a financial expectation or a shift in your networking circle may occur. Stay flexible and adaptable in your approach to income and social goals. For Aquarius, this transit period calls for active and patient engagement with home, property, and family matters. Property action is supported. Vehicle safety deserves attention. Domestic conversations need patience and care. Use the 7th and 10th house activations to advance your relationship and career goals. Find physical outlets for the inner restlessness. Handle everything at home with the knowledge that the energy here is temporary and purposeful. For Pisces, Mars is transiting through the 3rd house during this period. The 3rd house governs your courage and personal initiative, your communication and the way you express yourself, your short-distance travel and local movement, your relationship with siblings, your skills and abilities, and the immediate environment around you. For Pisces, Mars rules the 2nd house through Aries and the 9th house through Scorpio, connecting wealth and higher purpose to the everyday action energy of this transit. The most immediately energized quality for Pisces individuals during this transit period is courage and the willingness to act. Mars in the 3rd house is one of the classic placements for personal boldness and assertive self-expression. You will feel a surge of readiness to speak your mind, take initiative, put yourself forward, and act on things that previously required extra motivation to get moving. For Pisces people, who can sometimes overthink or hesitate before acting, this is a genuinely energizing transit that breaks through that hesitation and puts you into action mode. This is a very strong period for any work that involves communication, writing, presenting, negotiating, or direct engagement with people in your immediate environment. Whether you need to pitch an idea, make a persuasive argument, write something important, or handle a negotiation, the communication drive and confidence you will have during this transit are real assets. Your words will carry more energy and directness than usual, and people will feel that when they interact with you. Short-distance travel and local movement are also a strong theme. You may find yourself making more trips within your city or region during this transit period, mostly connected to work or productive purposes. Business meetings, client visits, and skill-building workshops in your nearby area are all activities that Mars in the 3rd house actively supports, and the momentum of local movement often opens doors to local opportunity. Your relationship with siblings is another area that becomes more active during this transit. Mars in the 3rd house can bring a sense of camaraderie and shared effort with siblings, but it can also bring competition or friction. If there are any matters between you and your siblings that have been sitting unresolved, this transit is likely to bring them to the surface. If financial or property matters are involved, handle them with extra care, since Mars rules your 2nd house as well, and money conversations with siblings under Mars energy can escalate quickly. Communication is genuinely the double-edged sword of this transit. Mars in the 3rd makes you direct, confident, and clear in your communication. This is excellent in professional settings. In personal relationships, the same directness can be perceived as blunt, harsh, or even aggressive. Be aware of the difference between honest communication and unnecessary sharpness. The drive to say exactly what you think without filtering is strong during this transit, and while that honesty has real value, pairing it with sensitivity to how your words land on others will produce much better results. Skills and learning are also a theme worth highlighting. Mars in the 3rd is one of the best placements for actively developing your skills. If you have been meaning to start a course, learn a new technique, develop a professional skill, or commit to something that requires sustained practical effort, this transit period provides genuine motivation and drive. Use it. The desire to improve yourself through practical effort is real here. Mars casts its 4th aspect on Leo, which is your 6th house. The 6th house governs daily work, health, obstacles, debts, and competition. Mars aspecting the 6th from the 3rd is generally a strong combination for overcoming challenges and dealing with opposition effectively. You will have the energy and courage to tackle difficult workplace situations, address health matters proactively, and handle competition in your professional environment with sharpness and determination. This is a good aspect for Pisces individuals in terms of practical problem solving and tackling whatever is standing in your way. Mars casts its 7th aspect on Scorpio, which is your 9th house. The 9th house represents your higher beliefs, your father, long-distance travel, and the teachers or mentors in your life. Mars aspecting the 9th from the 3rd creates a meaningful connection between your everyday actions and your higher life purpose. You may feel driven to take practical steps toward your higher goals. Long-distance travel may be connected to work, education, or a meaningful personal pursuit. There is also the possibility of disagreements with your father, a mentor, or an authority figure whose views differ from yours. Handle those interactions with as much respect and patience as you can muster while still standing by your own perspective. The 8th aspect of Mars falls on Sagittarius, which is your 10th house. The 10th house governs your career and professional reputation. Mars' 8th aspect on the 10th house is one of the more interesting aspects of this transit. It can bring sudden or unexpected developments in your career during this period. There may be a surprise announcement, an unexpected opportunity, a sudden change in your work environment, or a situation requiring quick professional decision-making. The key is adaptability and responsiveness. If an opportunity emerges through an unexpected channel in your career, move on it quickly. If there is a disruption, handle it with flexibility rather than rigidity. The 8th aspect here rewards those who stay alert and responsive to what is shifting in their professional landscape. For Pisces, this transit period is one of the more energized and action-forward transit periods in the near future. Your courage and communication are genuinely at a peak. Push forward on matters requiring effort and boldness, build your skills actively, handle sibling and workplace dynamics with directness and balance, stay prepared for career surprises, and put the focused energy of Mars in the 3rd house to consistent, purposeful use throughout this transit period. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the sidereal zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.